listening more than talking. But we're particularly interested, of course, in our support to the more recently returned Peace Corps volunteers and trainees. That's what our global reentry program is all about, in helping transition to life after the Peace Corps. But we are also very much interested in supporting and helping in any way possible individuals who are applicants, or also were already invited, had been invitees when the evacuation occurred, and trainees, many of which have different circumstances even than what evacuated Peace Corps volunteers had or returned Peace Corps volunteers do. So very important for us to kind of listen across the spectrum to all members of our community, and how we can serve you better. And so with that, an introduction to MPCA would essentially be that we are your organization for anyone and everyone who has shared the Peace Corps experience in any way, whether as an invitee, a trainee, or Peace Corps volunteer, evacuated Peace Corps volunteer, returned volunteer, former staff, host country national, you name it. We're a very inclusive community, and we want to simply reflect the values of the Peace Corps in all that we do. NPCA was established about 40 years ago as a kind of an alumni association, and had a somewhat passive mission throughout those years, and a dues-based approach for their membership. But more recently, over the last few years, we've really emerged more as a social impact organization that is driven by the community's interest and what is important to you. So the first kind of pillar of our work is related to the Peace Corps itself, and advocating to the Peace Corps for issues that are important to our community, as well as advocating to policymakers, members of Congress, about the funding for the Peace Corps and for legislation that we believe can help make the Peace Corps experience better. Many times that has to do with ensuring Peace Corps funding right now, as it's in a state of flux, as well as ensuring that RPCVs that were evacuated, for example, and others have benefits that are helpful in these extenuating circumstances. So we do have an ongoing relationship with leadership at the Peace Corps, in which we advocate on your behalf for the things that are important to you. And I kind of have a constant thread of communication with the Peace Corps director on issues particularly related to the evacuation, and then the eventual and hopeful reinstatement or re-enrollment of volunteers, so they're deployed back in the field. And we are leading a series of conversations in our community about that, and hopeful to provide strong feedback to leadership of the Peace Corps, and any transition teams or future leadership of the Peace Corps that we believe will make Peace Corps better, because we believe there are reforms and changes that need to occur during this time of hiatus of volunteers in the field. The other part of our work, our second pillar, is about building community and really knitting together the fabric here of our community in the United States, so that we can more effectively bring the world home and do our third goal work. So we have 180 some affiliate groups around the country, organized by country of service or geographic location, or causes such as environment or LGBT or refugees and the like. So organizing our community at the grassroots level is so important, and helping strengthen the community effort and the work that we do across the community is so important. And we provide services and support out to the groups and to the members themselves. Global Reentry is part of that support service to our community. It's designed to support RPCVs in their transitions after their service to productive lives afterwards. And that could include employment, job and career opportunities, academic opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities. In special cases where volunteers may have special needs with health issues or the like, we can also usually try to find support for them in that area as well. Really, it's about just continuing our lifetime of service and continuing to have an impact in our world, which is kind of our third pillar. And in that sense, our third pillar is really about life after Peace Corps and the impact that we can have throughout our lifetime. Many of us return back to our countries of service and work, or are involved in one way or another, at home or abroad, in projects or community-based initiatives. And NPCA supports those initiatives. We have a small grants fund that supports projects for return volunteers. Right now, we're focusing on particularly on the evacuated Peace Corps volunteers and the unfinished secondary projects that they had to leave behind. And we've got about 15 of those projects underway with evacuated Peace Corps volunteers, and more to come, I would expect. And then supporting RPCVs in general with their initiatives and projects that they undertake is going to be important, in particular right now where Peace Corps has no presence in the field. RPCVs are going to be vital to maintaining that spirit of the Peace Corps and the commitment of the Peace Corps with the communities around the world where Peace Corps volunteers have had to leave. So that's kind of in a nutshell our organizational priorities and how we're here to serve you. You know, it's free to be a part of our organization. We don't pay to collect dues. We are supported by donations from our community, but you know, we're not here to ask for that. We just simply want you to be a part of your organization and get engaged in any way that you can. If you are you know, more of in a position where you need support, and from MPCA, we're here to support you. If you're able to engage and get involved in an affiliate group, for example, and help promote issues like climate change work that we're doing, get involved. If you're able to help advocate for the Peace Corps, you know, by clicking and sending an email to your member of Congress, you know, that's your way of participating. Fabulous. If you're able to be a group leader on any of these groups out there, I encourage you to get involved there as well. For us, engagement is how we measure success. So we just hope you're all signed up for NPCA, getting our newsletters and keeping informed so you can be connected and engaged on the issues. That's rpcv.org as a shortcut to our website. But I would imagine most of you are already signed up. But if you're not, please do. And we're here to serve you. And my door's always open. So anytime I can help with anything, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll put my email as well down in the chat box here in a bit. And you're welcome to reach out and contact me. So thanks a lot, Dan, and thanks everyone for joining us.
And thanks, Glenn, for making time out of your busy schedule. I just want to give Glenn a special acknowledgement here for all the work that he's done.
Dan has frozen, it appears. I don't know what was next on the agenda, but I think if you want to just chime in on the chat bar there with any questions you might have, comments. I see, you know, we have some recruiters out there. We have a couple other NPCA staff as well. We'll wait for maybe Dan to come back, but happy to answer your questions or comments. So you can unmute yourself and talk, or just put them in the chat bar. While we're waiting on that, I will also mention Jody Hammer is on the call here, I see, now that I can see everybody. She is our career counselor. So if you've not yet connected with her and would like to get any inputs and advice on careers and job opportunities, be sure to check in with her. That's what she's here for. She's, I think, just back from vacation, so refreshed and ready to go. Looks like Dan's rejoining us here as well.
Well, sorry about that. I had my Zoom crash at the worst possible moment. Welcome to technology in the quarantine age. So I was just going to get in a little bit. I was introducing myself, I think, when it cut off, and you can see more about what we do with global reentry if you follow the web link that Glenn mentioned. rpcv.org is the short way to get there. I thought a good way to steer a conversation here, and again, we're here to listen, so I'll keep this brief, is to, but I was thinking back to our Peace Corps Connecting to the Future process last month, where we hosted 8 town halls with our community. I think a number of you are familiar faces from those discussions, and around 8 different topics, but there's a lot of overlap, and it culminated into the summit that hopefully you've heard about and been able to view on our different channels. Stephen Saum, who is our Director of Strategic strategic communication, and his team has done a great job getting some of the highlights and clips from the summit and town halls posted to social media and to YouTube. One thing that became clear, and one of the big ideas that came out of the town hall, and themes that we were aware of, but was hit on a number of times by our community, was the lack of familiarity about NPCA and the work that we do on the part of COSing volunteers, and not to mention new volunteers, applicants and invitees going into Peace Corps. So we've had a lot of internal discussions and talks within the town halls about how we can do a better job reaching out to invitees and applicants about the support that we provide as they go into Peace Corps. So that they can get in touch with their local affiliate groups. If you happen to be from, for example, here in the Washington, D.C. area, there's a lot of support that you can get as a volunteer during your service from, for example, again, the Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Washington group. We have a couple hundred affiliate groups that are always eager to be engaged with volunteers during their service as well, but rarely volunteers make those connections. So we'd welcome any further discussion about that idea and how people feel we can do a better job of reaching out to people as they're departing or as they're preparing to depart. Another motivation for this discussion was for applicants and invitees, but also those of you who are here hoping to reinstate. How are you taking advantage of your time in limbo, so to speak? Are you finding good ways to be engaged with strengthening your skills for being a successful volunteer, or to work with MPCA or global reentry for career preparedness or advocacy work? And we'd really like to just open it up here, a couple of different topic areas there, or on introducing NPCA to people going into Peace Corps, or how you're staying engaged and with us, and how we can help you as you're in limbo hoping to go back, or any other directions you would like to take us in. So I'm going to reopen my chat box here, or we're a small enough group here that if you would like to just take yourself off mute and chime in, we'll try to facilitate the conversation either way.
I guess I'll go actually. I'm Jeffrey Janis. I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Ukraine, and I currently work at UCLA as the Strat, or the Peace Corps campus recruiter. So I would actually ask for the staff person, in your opinion, what is the best way to talk to people who are applying now? What do we say to them? What do we say to people who, I have students who applied. They were planning to go to their countries in April, May, June, July. Obviously they've not gone. Everything's really on hold for them. I would be curious, what is the official party line that what we should be saying to those who have either have applied and been accepted, or those who are now currently applying? Obviously things are not going to open up immediately. It's going to be rolling, but I'd be curious if maybe you're trusting that.
Jeffrey, I think your comment was directed to Christine.
Sounds like me, right?
Yeah, if you have any talking points you can share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you first for working as a strat. For those who don't know, a strat is a strategic campus recruiter. It's usually a part-time position, recruiting Peace Corps, working for the university, with universities that have a specific partnership with Peace Corps. So please talk to your recruiter liaison that works for the Peace Corps about this as well, because these messages are being updated frequently as we learn more information. But for individuals who are interested in being among the first to return to Peace Corps service, or to depart for Peace Corps service if they haven't served previously, they should still apply, right? We are still working to ascertain exactly how many volunteers and when we will send those volunteers. But we know that we'll have needs, not only for all of our amazing RPCVs who want to return to service to return, and all of our invitees who had their plans kind of ripped out from under them and want to still go, but also for new applicants. So they should still apply. They should do that with that original spirit of flexibility and patience, and knowing that that things may change as we continue to learn more about how COVID has impacted each and every one of our countries and and everything that it takes to support volunteers overseas. But yes, I mean, we're absolutely still accepting applications. We're still reviewing applications, and those who want to serve and who want to serve, especially in 2021, should go ahead and submit their applications. Should just be extra flexible.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think all of us RPCVs or evacuated RPCVs serve as recruiters in some way or another, hopefully, as we talk to the general public. So as I talk to people about neighbors, for example, that are interested in joining the Peace Corps, I think it's just a really exciting time to go back and reinstate Peace Corps. It's the first time ever that Peace Corps is going to be returning after not having any volunteers in the field, and it will be a different organization. It'll be rebuilding, restarting programs. So I think it's there's definitely a silver lining in the recruitment message there about the excitement that's involved there. Thanks, Jeffrey. Let's see, Christine, I hate to put you on the spot. I know you were here more in our listening role, but for those hoping to reinstate, looking at Kent Rice's question here, are they welcome to be in touch with the staff that they are from the country that they're coming from, or that they hope to reinstate to?
Yes, and right. If you served in a country and want to go back there, I know that many of our in-country staff have continued to try to answer the questions that our evacuated volunteers have about return to service. And then, of course, keeping in mind that they might be limited themselves in what information they have and can share. A lot of this is still very fluid, right? If you are interested in going to service in a different country, so you're an RPCV from Namibia, but you would like to serve now in Costa Rica because you hear two people who had experiences there on this call and you think it would be great. I think the answer to that is probably no. They are working to do site assessments and all of the preparations that they need to do for allowing their volunteers to come back and then receiving new volunteers and answering questions from prospective volunteers would not be, that's not something that they can really do. In that case, the best thing to do is to talk to a recruiter or to apply to return to service, and then you'll receive a point of contact who can answer questions that that we can to the best of our ability. So yeah, so if it's someone that you have an established relationship, my understanding is that the country directors and DPTs and whatnot are doing their best to answer questions with the limited information that we all have and can share. But if it's a new country that you're hoping to re-enroll to, I would say contact headquarters instead.
Might be a little bit old information at this point, but if you didn't catch Jody Olson's remarks from our summit on July 18th, it might be good to go back and find those. She talked a little bit about the process for returning to service and what the agency is trying to do. And I just want to applaud Christine placement and all of the task forces that Jody's talked about with us that are doing what sounds to me like a great job, having been on the inside there, of a very thoughtful process in getting back and taking advantage of the hiatus, if you will, to improve programs and processes. Sounds like we're looking at early 2021 at the earliest for any reopenings at this point.
Yeah, and actually, there was a question further up in the chat asking whether that would be country by country, and that is absolutely correct. I know Jody, the director of the Peace Corps, sent an email to RPCVs who had applied to return to service, as well as invitees who were waiting to return to service or to depart for service over the last couple of weeks. And in it, she definitely mentioned that we know that some countries will be ready far ahead of others based on the trajectory of the disease in that country, the medical infrastructure in that country, the transportation to and from each of those countries, and the level of support that we know we need to provide our volunteers. So some countries will definitely open earlier than others, for sure.
Also, my understanding is that they will be sending first evacuated volunteers back before sending new volunteers. Is that correct?
Generally speaking, yes. There are countries that didn't have evacuees, for example, right? But generally speaking, I think almost every country's reentry plans have been modeled after that.
I would just also throw out to people that I've seen for myself a huge increase in applicants. It's been very, very busy for me. And I'd be curious if you can address that for Peace Corps as a whole.
I don't have the numbers at hand. I can say for sure people continue to apply to Peace Corps despite us not having volunteers overseas at this time. Yes, there's definitely, the interest is absolutely still there.
That's great news. Question from EC Wells there. Christine, you mentioned an email from Jody Olson. Could you give a date stamp on that?
Off the top of my head, I can't. The one to evacuees who had applied to return to service was probably 2 weeks ago, and then invitees about a week ago. And there are, that was sent through our marketing system, so check your spam if you did not receive it. We definitely know that sometimes those types of emails get caught in our, in your junk inbox.
And to Alice's question, I assume, Christine, that if somebody should have gotten that message and didn't, then they should reach out to their point of contact.
Yes, so if you have applied, submitted the application to return to service, whether you're interested in returning to your own country or to another, you should have received it. And if not, I would email application@peacecorps.gov so that we can look into that. If you have not yet applied, you would need to apply in order to be one of the RPCVs who has expressed an interest in returning to service. Oh, and Valerie actually is helping me out. She said that the email that she received was on August 10th, so as an invitee, and the evacuee one would have been sent out at least a few days ahead of that.
Yeah. Special nod to Valerie Kirka, who is helping run this webinar behind the scenes and respond to questions. Valerie works on development and fundraising for MPCA, and we're very fortunate to have her on this call. Thank you, Valerie. Different Valerie, as an invitee, thank you for joining, and Valerie Harden. She received the email from the director on August 10th, so that might be different for reinstatees. So let me pose a discussion question again. Most of you here are evacuated volunteers looking to reinstate, if I understand, or if I'm reading the room correctly. We are here to serve you during that process. NPCA is community driven, and you're the community we serve. We would love to hear, have an open conversation about what more we can be doing, both for invitees and reinstatees as you're managing this process. Again, hopefully you found the career services work that we've been doing, and the many webinars and offerings that we've been doing for career services. But what else can we be doing, and what's been your experience? It's a good opportunity for us to receive feedback from you.
So this is Nat. I'm hoping it's okay to just speak it out.
Absolutely.
Hey, I've been doing all the webinars. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. And I appreciate that, definitely. I feel like I'm getting a lot of beneficial information from it. And I feel like I'm excited about this chat, or I was excited seeing it come up about this chat, because I felt like NPCA sometimes acts as kind of a liaison to the Peace Corps staff. For example, Jody Olson comes to the Connect to Peace Corps Summit. And I see now Christine O'Neill is on this chat. And I feel like in a lot of ways, it's difficult for me to get the information that I'm looking for, but I appreciate in chats like this, NPCA helping reach out for me.
Thanks, Nat. Really appreciate that feedback and compliment, and want to also give a shout out to our advocacy team led by Jonathan Pearson, who's been doing some really important work helping evacuees access their unemployment assistance after evacuation. I'm comfortable with awkward silence, so take your time, and if you have anything to add, unmute yourself like Nat did and just shout it out there.
I think I'm unmuted.
Yes, you are.
Okay. This is my first contact with NPCA. I'm retired, so it's not that I've been looking for a job and really haven't been going that way at all. So I'm finding it it's interesting that there's more out there than I realized. And so I pat you all on the back there. I think I registered immediately upon returning, but haven't done anything per se with NPCA. I did join the affiliate group in North Ohio before I left, but really haven't been in much. I mean, I get their newsletter, but because of the situation, they're not doing a whole lot right now either. So that's kind of tough. But anyway, there's a lot there, but I personally haven't been involved.
Thank you, Betsy. And I'm going to take advantage of a little focus group opportunity here with you. Apparently we did something right, or the affiliate group in Northern Ohio did, to catch you before you deployed. How did you get contacted, and what led you to sign up before departure?
I had an inside. The local recruiter happened to be an Oberlin College grad. I had just retired from Oberlin College. This is something I'd wanted to do for a long time. So the connections were pretty easy.
And were you in touch with them during your service, during your year in Thailand?
Once or twice. Well, I got notices of newsletters from them. And at one time I was going to do a proposal and ask for small grant money, but that never happened.
Yeah. It's one of the more common ways that RPCV affiliate groups can help out during their services is that fundraising support for PCPP projects that volunteers are putting on. And some of them have significant funds that they can help divert, but oftentimes that's not made aware to volunteers are not made aware of that. Let's see, go back to the chat here. Thanks, Hillary, for the feedback on the webinars. Jody Hammer is with us, but in a listening mode. I think she's in a vehicle returning from vacation. So just give her a shout out for the great work that she's done on the career webinars. There was one yesterday with one of our career counseling coaching consultants, Rhonda Enstead, who is giving to return volunteers free of charge access to her impressive platform called My Career Design Studio that walks anyone, but this is geared to RPCVs through the job search process with lots of tips and activities and tools for finding what is right for you and then taking steps to network. She's offering that free of charge for 4 months to RPCVs. And if you're in the job search, or if you're going to be in the job search, that is a really valuable tool to take advantage of. All right. Who else wants, if you're here, it's probably because something's on your mind. So how can MPCA support you? And I'll just read Valerie Hardin's here. I live in Southern Alabama. Don't think there's, there don't seem to be any affiliate groups or even recruiters in my area. Any suggestions on how I could be more connected with other RPCVs? That's a fantastic opening for us to talk about our non-geographic affiliate groups, Valerie, so thank you for that. In addition to the geographic affiliate groups like Betsy was talking about, the Northern RPCVs of Northern Ohio, there are also Friends of groups. So I'm not sure what percentage, but I think most countries of service have affiliate groups, Friends of Fiji, for example, Friends of Thailand. So that's one way to get involved with RPCVs. And then there's also cause-related groups. For example, Glenn referenced RPCVs for environmental action. There's a refugee support affinity group. I'm blanking on the name of it. There's Peace Corps Legacy, Peace Corps Women of Legacy, supporting RPCV women and leadership training and mentoring. I think I'm missing one or two. And then there's workplace affinity groups, mostly within the federal government, but there are a number of agencies that have our RPCV affiliate group affiliation status. So those are ways to get involved. And you can always start your own affinity group if you have a quorum of interested RPCVs, and we have new ones being added every month. So that's definitely something you can do as well. Kent, I've done Duolingo until I'm blue in the face. I've been there. Do you have any other language learning suggestions? Well, I can speak to skill training for if you're interested in being a TEFL volunteer. We're aware of some free opportunities for you to hone your TEFL English teaching skills. But as far as learning second languages and helping prepare you to be a volunteer in a new country of service or master a language that you've begun learning, I'm going to crowdsource the answer to that question. Is anyone else aware of?
Check out Mango, M-A-N-G-O. You can get it if you have a library card, and it's free.
Mango.com, I'm assuming?
I think so, yes. I can double check that.
Any other suggestions?
I'm going to throw in another suggestion in general, which is this is a good opportunity to get involved as a volunteer in the community. Probably my favorite website that I refer people to is volunteermatch.org. I think that people think it's really everything that's, oh, well, you can't volunteer anymore, you can't do anything. Every nonprofit is still very much needing help. They need support. There are lots of ways to still get involved. And as I typically say to people, if someone is homeless, they're still homeless, and that organization is still doing that work. So I encourage all of you who are evacuating and still waiting to go back, this is a chance to do volunteer work. It's also a chance to possibly do tutoring. You can do tutoring online, but I would also encourage checking out volunteermatch.org for volunteer opportunities in your community.
That's a fantastic suggestion, Jeffrey. And Jody often references volunteer match as well in her career sessions. And if you're also looking for a job, one of the best ways to get a job is to volunteer with an organization. And oftentimes that leads to employment or connections with other groups that lead to employment. So, and yes, I would also encourage you to be in touch with MPCA. You can start with me and Jody on the Global Reentry team. If you have social entrepreneurial thoughts about how you can make a difference in your community, we are very eager to support RPCVs in their service endeavors and to make the connections that you might need to make those ventures successful. So please be in touch with us if you have thoughts on how to increase your volunteer impact in your community. We do have some TEFL training agreements in the works, Alice. I'm going to put my email into the chat here. You can reach out to me and I'll separately, and I will point you in the right direction.
So going back to the language question, you might, I have not done it, but you might try Googling language exchange partners or just language exchange. I knew someone who, you know, had somehow gotten herself connected with a person in China. She wanted to learn Mandarin. And so she got herself connected with someone in China who wanted to learn English, and they would have a half an hour, an hour session every week where they would talk to each other. So, and of course, they're very connected in China, unlike Ethiopia, where you'd have trouble keeping any kind of a video connection going. But anyway, that would be one suggestion. And also, if you're looking for things to do, you might check out your local Rotary Club. I'm doing actually a lot of third goal activity in that I've been a Rotarian for 26 years, and I managed all of the Rotary Foundation grant activity for my district for about 15 before I retired and left the country for the Peace Corps. Rotary clubs are not entirely what they used to be anymore, and they're all now meeting virtually like this because they have to. I happen to belong to an e-club that has always met virtually. But for those of you that want to go back to your country, making a connection here with a Rotary Club now is a great thing. And then when you get to your country of service, connect with them there, because they will all, both sides, be interested in helping you with your projects.
And thank you for speaking up, Cecilia, because that's one of the RPCV groups that I failed to mention. Peace Corps partnering for peace, partnerships for peace is one of the RPCV groups. One of the groups that are Rotarians, RPCV Rotarians. I'm copying into the chat here our directory for affiliate groups. So going back to Valerie's question about how to find RPCVs to join up with, this is the best way to start finding. There's currently 471 affiliate groups on that directory, but I think we typically say about a couple of hundred of those are more active. And thanks again, Cecilia, for that great suggestion for getting involved with Rotary.
Oh, sure.
Anybody else? Got about 15 minutes left of this Q&A.
I just put my contact information in the chat, so if anyone has any questions about Rotary and what the Rotary Peace Corps connection should be or could be, you'll be able to contact me.
Dan, can you hear me? This is Jody.
Jody, thanks for joining.
Oh my goodness, I've been on since the beginning, but sadly have not been able to, my mute, I was connected via dial-in initially, and the unmute wasn't working, so I went back to, I'm now through Zoom, so I'm in a little bit of a sketchy area, so if I drop off, I apologize. But I do want to just introduce myself, and I'm Jody Hammer, and I'm really honored to be a part of Dan's team with the Global Reentry Program, and I just want to second that I'm happy to work with any of you on your job search questions and needs as you look to what's next for you and such. In addition to the many webinars that we do, certainly feel free to get a hold of me, you know, at jody@peacecorpsconnect.org. Oh.
Thanks so much, Jody. Yes, we heard that.
Great.
Between Jody and Rhonda, we are offering one-on-one career coaching services as well. So if that is of interest to you, you're welcome to reach out, and we'll put you in the queue for that as well. Thanks, Glenn, for joining. I know that it's difficult to take an hour of your time, so I appreciate it. All right, last chance for any Ask the Director of Placement questions as well, with Christine O'Neill on the line.
This is not so much a question, but I was actually completely unaware of NPCA until after I returned, after I was evacuated in March, and you know, had no idea that there was this vibrant organization back here. It would be great. I'm thinking of Christine and those of you who are recruiting, if you could let new invitees know about the NPCA and try to get them engaged. That's not being critical at all. It's just what it is. But I think it would be great to, because a few of us did. I was fortunate enough somehow to get on the contact list for the Sacramento RPCVs. And so I went to one of their events just before I left for my service. And so, but I think that knowing about the sort of after organization, which is NPCA, would be great.
Yeah, and to that point, when I was a campus recruiter, I was living in a city, St. Louis, that didn't have at that time a regional recruiter. So I used the local Peace Corps community a ton, right? The RPCV community, I used them all the time for my events, and I went to their happy hours and everything else. So that was a really integrated experience, and I do think there can be a lot of great collaboration there. I will take that suggestion specifically back to our recruitment colleagues, since I'm no longer a recruiter, about how we can best continue to make sure that applicants and invitees are aware of that resource, because I know I talked to one RPCV, I think, before I applied to the Peace Corps, and but when I was a recruiter, I encouraged my applicants to talk to RPCVs all the time, and found that to be a very enriching experience.
I just say it can be very hit or miss for applicants, for invitees going into Peace Corps, whether or not you're engaged by your different groups. For example, if you're from Wisconsin or maybe Betsy in Northern Ohio, it's very difficult to get into Peace Corps without hearing from your group, because they're just so active. But if you're Valerie, for example, in Southern Alabama, maybe it's more difficult to make those those connections. The same with the Friends of Country of Service groups. For example, I know that Dominican Republic and Senegal or Liberia are famous for having very, very active and engaging RPCV groups. Fiji, for example, Martha has very, very active group. But others, I know that Christine and I, Costa Rica, I don't even know if we have a group. Yeah.
We do. It's not very active, but we do. Yeah. Alice asked how to become a Peace Corps recruiter, so I can address that one quickly. Most of our recruiter positions are the normal full-time federal employee positions working directly for the Peace Corps, and we hire a combination of using a combination of the non-competitive eligibility roster. So if you are a recent returned volunteer, and especially if you're an evacuee and were granted non-competitive eligibility, make sure you've submitted your application to the non-competitive recruitment or hiring program so that you are eligible for those positions. And we will also sometimes post positions publicly using a standard roster. And to be notified when those positions become available, you should make a USA Jobs account and make sure that you set up your notifications to become aware whenever Peace Corps posts a new position that way. Similar, I mean, our recruitment colleagues are wonderful, so yes, be a recruiter, but also placement officers positions are frequently available. And we also use a combination of the non-competitive eligibility roster and public rosters, depending on our hiring needs. So making sure that if you have non-competitive eligibility, that you've applied through that route, and that you're also keeping an eye on any other positions that become available on USA Jobs, because if we post a position on USA Jobs, that means we are not using NCE to fill it, and you would have to apply directly in order to be considered.
And I'll just chime in also. There are 32 campus recruiters throughout the country, so there's 32 different universities. As Christine mentioned, they are part-time. They typically are 20 hours a week, but those positions do rotate and they do come up. And also, Cecilia, to respond to your comment, the campus recruiters, the 32 of us, are very close with each other. We communicate with each other, and I'm making sure that they all really know about MPCA and the role that MPCA can play, and how we can make sure that we need to let all of our students know about it.
Sure, that's great.
And we definitely need to get Christina on one of our career webinars, it sounds like, to talk about that working for Peace Corps process. So great information there from her.
I'm living the dream. We're like, how has she been here 7 years? I don't understand. Yeah. Ask Dan how long he worked for Peace Corps.
That's the downside of Peace Corps, is it has that pesky term limit that gives you the boot after so long. But wanted to address EC Wells' question about interview support. Yes, I'm sorry if that didn't come through in some of our career coaching services, but absolutely, if mock interviews or practice interviews would be helpful to you, we can set you up with a mentor. Yeah, just be in touch with us at careers@peacecorpsconnect.org, and we can see what we can do. It's not just networking, it's not just the webinars, but we can do tailor one-on-one services as well. And I want to crowdsource as well, and also allow some of the other colleagues I have from MPCA joining in, like Stephen, to respond. I think it's a great question to maybe start to end on Hillary's question about tips for encouraging people to stay engaged and interested in joining Peace Corps during this time. Blogs. Stephen, from your communications perch, any suggestions there?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Thanks for the question. I think definitely getting plugged in on the social media channels is really helpful, because then it's not just connecting with us, it's also being able to see and hear the responses from other people and then connect with them. I think that's really valuable. You know, people can get the Worldview app for free I posted the link to that so you can kind of see what experiences are of other people and kind of get, especially like the most recent edition, dozens of stories from volunteers around the world, what they were doing. And while evacuation is kind of right at the heart of it, the work and experience itself is really what shapes those stories. So I think those are a couple things. And connecting with the local affiliate groups, I think again is always valuable.
Thanks, Stephen, and big congratulations to Stephen and all of the other contributors to this most recent edition of our quarterly magazine, Worldview. If you haven't checked it out, I can't encourage you strongly enough to look at it. Best edition ever. I think we're going to try to do some more of these town halls. We don't want to saturate the community with events such as this, but every month or every couple of months, we'll open up forums and have these sorts of discussions. So please check back, usually at the beginning every month, if you want to set a little reminder for yourself. Jody and I are populating the events of each month on our website, on our calendar. So you can go in at the beginning of every month and just sign up for all of the webinars and events that you're interested in. And similarly with your other RPCV affiliate groups, they often maintain calendars as well. And we try to share events across calendars, but we don't always do a good job of cross-posting. So check out the calendars for the affiliate groups you're interested in, and tune in and be an engaged member of our community. We always value all of these suggestions and comments, and Peace Corps definitely is not a 2-year experience. It's a lifetime journey. So MPCA welcomes you along with us for that journey. Any final thoughts, comments?
Thanks, everybody.
Betsy,
Thank you.
See you again.
Yeah.
Cecilia, thank you for being engaged. Nat, Valerie, all of you who are participated, thank you so much. Talk to you again soon.